All right, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the session called Stuck No More, Removing the Anguish from Languishing. My name is Chris Gill. I'm a Microsoft Azure MVP. I'm a manager of Microsoft applications at Nixon Peabody. And I am a human of IT. One of the proud things for me is that I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a community mentor. I love talking about mental health advocacy and neurodiversity as well, but by no means am I a doctor. But I am an IT professional and a manager, and I put these in as this specific order because really, truly, at the end of the day, this is how important these things are to me and to the community. So let's get started. For a lot of us, and this was very near and dear to my heart, I thought about this whole idea of, how are we really feeling right now? It's been a year, let's call it like 450 some days of some stuff that we've all been going through. Some of us feel joyless. We're either stagnant. There's this idea of alone or lonely, and this is one that, again, near and dear to my heart. There's moments where we felt isolated, that we've been not able to really do what we want to do, not able to get out and hang out with our friends, our family, or on the flip side, the idea of a lonely, where we're surrounded by our family members. Maybe we're stuck in a house. We have kids, family that are always around, and there's no place to hide. There's no place to run. And some folks thrive, and some folks just want to take a break, want to get away from it. We're feeling exhausted. We're feeling empty. I know a lot of these things resonate with you all, and again, this is exactly why we're having this conversation today. So the research that I started doing, there was a lot of news recently, this whole idea of languishing and where we're kind of going, what we really like, what we're feeling. Are we isolated? Are we really truly weak? Have we run into certain situations where we've gone through some kind of trauma, whether it's mental or physical? We've lost someone or something, job, house, just pieces of our lives that we would normally have. Again, this emptiness, this feeling of, maybe things will get better, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll change for the better, maybe they won't. We're kind of stuck in maybe feelings of and thoughts of negativity. Hopefully not to the point where we consider ever like hurting ourselves or anything like that, but just that idea of how did I get into this situation? How can I fix this situation? That lack of purpose, maybe a drive, a way for me to, just continue on with the things that it normally would do, the things that would bring you joy and happiness, things that would bring other folks happiness. For me, one of the things that I really enjoy is cooking. Love getting out, love doing barbecue, love having friends and family over. But in all honesty, last night was the first night that we were able to really have one of my family members back over to our house. It's just a insurmountable feeling for some of these things, but again, that lack of purpose, that lack of maybe focus. Focus meaning just getting things done, maybe getting things done at work, getting things done at home, taking care of your house, your bills, necessities. That lack of motivation, finding like maybe what's next, or where do I want to go from here? And we'll talk a little bit about all three of those that are highlighted here in a few moments. I do want to call out though that in the research that I had done and what I personally had gone through, I found that languishing is is really just anguish, but it's not necessarily depression. It's not that, that long term where, um, it's just this feeling of like I'm depressed. I'm not getting any better. It's more of a just a short term, like I would call it a roller coaster feeling where some days you're at the bottom of that roller coaster, you're a little down, but then there's high moments. It's certainly not burnout, um, at least that from the definition that I understand, and from what I've experienced in the past. Um, there's a little bit of anxiety for sure, but there's, again, it's that just kind of towing into emotional exhaustion. There is a little bit of mental ambiguity and a mental weight there where you feel like you have been stagnant. You may feel like you haven't been able to dig yourself out. Again, towing into a little bit of that emotional exhaustion. So now that we set the stage for definition of languishing, again, just to cover how did we really get here. Most of us have gone through what we call a little bit of pandemic blues, maybe a lot of pandemic blues. Again, mental and physical overload, just insurmountable for some folks. But we're getting better, with availability of shots, with the availability of, just things opening back up, getting back to some normalcy. We're able to offload some of that mental and physical overload. Um, a lot of us, have been working from home, mandatory work from home for the past 450 days. It's been a huge change in schedule and responsibility for me. Not only have I now had to manage my family and our daily activities differently, but I've got to find a way to kind of work, and work in a different environment, work from a different environment, be successful from that environment, and help others throughout the day be successful. Let's be honest, little kids. I've got 13 and 11. I'd say little, but when it comes down to it, it's like they still have a lot of needs, and they've been going through this just as well as we have. Kudos to them for giving us that inspiration to kind of get through this. But strong characters for kids to have to kind of get through this pandemic and deal with some of this languishing, and some of this just mental weight. It's unbelievable. But some of the other pieces, for me, distractions is a big thing. Being at home, I've got everything available to me. Right on the other side of this monitor, I've got a bay window. I can see everything coming and going outside. I try to stay focused, but I've had to find ways to continue that focus to get things done, but also focus on me and focus on my mental and physical well-being. And then the elephant in the room, the toxic positivity. There's a lot of folks, and I would say very early on, that everybody was just talking, saying, "Hey, we're fine. Everyone's fine. We're good. We're doing great. We're getting stuff done. Everything else is falling apart. Maybe the world is burning, but everything's fine." That had to stop, and it did to some extent, but there's still small pockets of this idea of toxic positivity. And let's be honest, it's when it comes down to it, as a manager, as a human, as a parent, it's not good. It's not good. It really puts us in a different mental state. It's almost towing that line of just lying to ourselves and lying to others. We really don't want to be in that situation, and we try to at least call it out as we see it. So, all right, some of the risks, and when we talk about risks of languishing itself, we see that very quickly, just a general health, and the decline of well-being. Maybe we're not sleeping. maybe we're overworked, maybe we're sleeping too much, that physical and mental tiredness, right? I found myself getting up later. I used to be a morning person. I'm now getting up later, and staying up later. So, maybe watching a little bit too much TV, maybe reading books a little bit too long, maybe spending a little bit too much time on MS Learn, just upskilling or, uh, learning about new technologies. But you got to find that balance. Um, the continued uh, experience with this languishing obviously leads to increased stress. Again, that energy depletion and potential burnout is very, very risky. It's something that could very well creep up if we're not careful. The sadness and the hopelessness. Again, just coming back to that, to are we spending enough time with our loved ones? Are we spending enough time on ourselves? Are we spending enough time finding our purpose and delivering on our purpose? So, with that said, some of my tips to at least begin that re energizing process. I'd like to say this frequently, but put on your own mask first. And really, truly, that means that, in an airplane situation, if anything was going wrong, and it's just like in life, you put on your own oxygen mask first. You got to take care of yourself, um, plain and simple. That will allow you to, again, start forming this process for energizing or re-energizing, and then that allows you to actually help others as well. One of the biggest things proponent of is making sure that you absolutely 100% reach out to others. You are not alone in this community. Please, by all means, reach out to your community connections for assistance, whether it's friends, family. A lot of our companies have an employee assistance program or an EAP. Please, by all means, reach out, use those resources. I'm not a big fan of getting on the phone and talking through situations about mental health or mental well-being or physical health or well-being. But some of the resources we have now available, text, chat, it's wonderful. You can find what's comfortable for you, whether it's a video, whether it's that chat, whether it's a phone. But just remembering that it's available. Please, if you need the assistance, please reach out. Take care of yourself. A big thing that I think we all forget about is even the smallest of successes. We got to celebrate those moments. Again, last night, it was a big night for me. Very proud of my son. He was able to have a jazz concert in a public location at a school with an audience for the first time since the pandemic hit. It was amazing to be part of that, and just focusing for a few minutes and thinking, man, I've got this talk and this session that I need to give tomorrow, but I need to focus on this, and I really have to celebrate this moment because this is something that I think we've all been craving for quite some time now. Nutritional wellness is a huge one. Really, when it comes down to it, we just need to make sure that we're making sure that our bodies are getting what they need. Plenty of water, the right drinks, uh, good, wholesome meals. Sure, the occasional, pizza or whatever else is just fine. That helps to balance things as well, but we really just need to make sure that we're making the right choices in getting the right energy in our body that kind of positions us for some of the things that I'm going to talk about next. Those ample daily brain breaks, that is a huge one for me. Most of the time, we just feel like we're stuck in front of this screen, working away. It's way too easy to just come over and connect and get lost. scrolling for a while or taking care of a few more emails or just that, oh, there's this one more thing that I'll take care of. Um, I've fallen into that trap. You turn around and 30 to 60 minutes later, you're like, where is my time gone? Um, but taking those brain breaks, maybe every couple minutes or so. There's this what I call Pomodoro method. What I've researched is the Pomodoro method, where you can carve your day up into certain intervals, be it 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes. But you tend to reward yourself after those breaks. Or after the task. So if it's a 15-minute task, you reward yourself with maybe a 2 or 3 minute break. Take a walk, go check on your family, maybe check your personal email for a few minutes. It just kind of resets, but it gives you that focus. It gives you that drive to say, this is what I want to try and get done in this amount of time. And then I reward myself for a job well done, or at least a task well done. And the biggest thing at the end here is just granting yourself plenty of rest. As I said before, I found myself waking up a little bit later in the day than I'd like to, groggy, tired. But at the end of the day, I've found that I've kind of set a different, just a different boundary for myself and for work to say, after 6 o'clock, I'm going to have a meal with my family. After 8 o'clock, I'm not going to do any work. If I did, unless it's something that's scheduled, I'm going to try and spend time with my family. I will do, whether it's reading, watching TV, catching up on a few, personal emails, taking care of business, but really, truly just setting those boundaries is super important, and giving yourself the amount of rest. All right. 3 steps that I'd like to go over that's really helped me throughout the past few months is starting with step number 1, really truly identify your purpose. As I talked before, it's like find what your passion is. If it's helping the community, if it's giving a session, giving a talk like this, if it's being creative, and I say being creative, it doesn't have to be digital creativeness. It could be maybe knitting. It could be woodcrafting, something, anything, whatever it is. Find what you love about yourself and do it, and continue to do it. Set time away and identify that purpose, and then share it with others. This repeating idea of being self-compassionate and good to yourself. You want to make sure that you budget yourself, and you keep those stressors low, like I've kind of written out here. And towing into that, journaling has been huge for me. The example that I have on the screen was created in OneNote, but it could be written down in any journal, any notebook. I like to keep it in OneNote because it just allows me to organize my thoughts a little bit better. But the biggest thing is just getting those thoughts out. I'm finding that a lot of my creative time and a lot of my brain power is more at the 9 or 10 p.m. time at night. So I have a notebook next to my bed. I have my Surface next to my bed, where I'm writing things down and creating pages like this to kind of identify where I'm at, how I'm feeling, where I want to go, and what I want to do. So again, just identifying that budget of how can I achieve some of these things that I've identified as a passion, and how do I set boundaries to help me achieve those is super important. The second step is find your focus. This one takes practice, and I would argue it's a little bit harder. But once you get into it, what I've found is that if I take and make something appealing, make it enjoyable, and make it something that I will continue to go back to, it's a little bit easier. on my brain. It's a little bit easier on my processes. So what I've displayed on the screen here is some snippets from To-Do. Microsoft To-Do, a free tool that allows you to create lists. Those lists I've broken into different types of distractions, whether it's a low distraction, something that I can get done pretty quickly without, getting a text or an IM, or a phone call. A medium distraction, maybe something that takes a little bit longer. It might take 30 to 60 minutes. Again, just doing the math that, I'm probably going to get distracted, but at least if I can break those down into a task and then steps within that task, it's a little bit easier for me to track and keep my focus, so that I don't lose track of where I was. The idea of a brain dump on the far right, again, just that whether it's writing it down or maybe, I'm out on a walk at lunch or anytime during the day and something's come up. I had this great idea. I need to get something done. Maybe I want to piece together a session, and I could quickly start putting together the steps and thoughts, and just dumping it somewhere for later rearranging and reorganizing. And then for me, the biggest one is just setting reminders. Um, I've got one section on here called daily recurring. And for me, checking in on things like, support queue or maybe checking in with my team, I need that reminder. I need that little nudge on the shoulder to just say, hey, go do this thing. I know you're in the middle of an email, but, try and go out and, check up on this, make sure that you're getting other things done. All right. The third and final step that's, again, worked really well for me over these past few months is to really, truly find a way to ignite your motivation. It's hard. I would agree. It's really, really hard to get motivated. What am I going to do next? How am I going to do it? What can I do today and tomorrow? Again, part of that goal, that planning, building off of your purpose, involving yourself with that focus, and then really tying it into how you're motivated is key. Whether it's working on something new, learning a new skill, maybe teaching somebody else, sharing what you've learned with, just one person or a greater community. It makes you feel good. It makes the other recipient or recipients feel good. It's an incredible approach. It helps build a community. It helps build our own confidence. So again, a few keys for just increasing your own motivation. But really, truly, at the end of the day, I just want to drive home that you are the hero of your own story. So, it's been a ride. This past year and a half has been a ride. I would argue that it's been building up. Unfortunately, some of us, all of us had to go through this together. But at the end of the day, this really just hopefully helps us at least push down or remove a lot of this anguish from this feeling of languishing. I really, really am super happy and super thrilled to be invited to give this talk. I want to thank Microsoft and the community. And at this point in time, if you have any questions, please get those into the chat and we'll start responding. I'm just looking at, so Danielle, thank you for sharing. I see you're late reading and all-nighters with a book since college days. It's been interesting. I know, like I said, myself, my wife, both of my kids, avid readers. But it's been crazy, and it's kind of nice to at least find a way to step away from things, especially depending on the type of book or type of material you're reading. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so Carl, I see that you mentioned here a trend that people use energy drinks a lot. Um, I'll just say this. I think each one of us has, has our, I guess our idea of what makes us feel good, what makes us thrive. Um, for me, uh, I told a little bit into you know, I have ADHD. I have anxiety. I do struggle with these things at times, but for me, coffee helps. Um, that high energy drink, maybe Rockstar, whatever it may be, that tends to calm people down. I've noticed that, at least for me, high amounts of caffeine seem to do tricks and calm me down. I'll be honest with you, I could have a cup of coffee at the end of the night and still fall asleep within an hour. So, but yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for sharing that. Just reading out another comment here. Thank you so much. Great presentation. My undergrad is in computer science, master's in counseling. It's writer and counter presentation that covers topics from both domains. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for that. I'm very humbled and very proud to not only be fortunate to have a skill set on the IT side, but really start and continue towing into that advocacy for both um, mental health and diversity and inclusion. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that share. Um, question about finding my purpose or passion. Yeah, that's a really good thing. Really good question. So what I ended up doing for myself is, kind of rethinking, where I'm at, how did I get here, and where do I want to go from here. Um, what I ended up doing was one day just kind of taking a plain sheet of paper, and I wrote down the things that I like about myself and the things that I don't like about myself, and then the things that maybe I'd want to, um, help others deliver in life, or help myself deliver in life. I was able to kind of just go through that list and say, well, here's things that I wanted to focus on and prioritize, like maybe write a number next to them, or again, second review, maybe cross some of them out, things that I didn't really want to write down for whatever reason. But that really helped me out tremendously to just kind of identify some key things to focus on. I know I shared 4 on the screen. That page, it easily had 30 or 40 different words that were written down about myself and about my purpose. So hopefully that helps you. Yeah, I was just going through. There's a lot of great comments in here. Thank you all for sharing the love and sending this information over. I do see that there's there was talk about introvert, and I would say this for me and a lot of folks that I'm surrounded by. I'd like to consider ourselves extroverted introverts. Um, there are certain situations where um, I'm very introverted, but in a social setting, I really enjoy just being around people. It's odd, but again, I would agree that lockdown was kind of good. It was nice to at least find a reset and just refocus on ourselves. So, other questions? Let me just go through one more live event. And I know we're coming up on time too, so I wanted to say again, thank you all. I hope that this really helps you in your quest to find your focus, find your purpose. Um, so thank you again, and I really appreciate your time. Let's see here. Oh, so I'm seeing from the backstage that we do have a couple more minutes, about 15 minutes more. So let me go through some of the other questions. See if I can answer a few more here. Yeah, so I'm working on the from the bottom up, but I see a comment here about someone who manages employees and the missing toolbox, putting on a oxygen mask for others. Um, for me, so while I don't manage a large team, I do some of the things that at least worked for me to try and help others, at least from a technique purpose, is with all of these chat communications, group communications, sometimes whether or not the folks opt into them, or even in this scenario of the video, just a video conference where folks are either turning on or turning off their camera. I found myself kind of getting to that point where I have been turning my video camera off at times where, the certain size meeting, if it's maybe 7 to 10, I would leave my video camera on. If it's more than that, I would tend to turn it off. Um, but one of the things that I've also done is in those scenarios, I have reached out to at least my team members, just a quick check-in, just like we would do with our family members and our friends. Check in, ask them how they're doing. Just to kindly ask if there's anything that you could help them handle today, or just in general, have a conversation. Not necessarily a work-related conversation, but just open that door to, be a friend first, and just kind of be empathetic to maybe what's going on or what they've been going through. So um I like this comment from Ben. Found tracking fitness, hobby goals, prioritization, and budgeting and spreadsheets to be helpful. I would agree. It's easy to overeat at times, for sure. Um, yeah, I think we all have our things that we enjoy. I absolutely love pretzels, so a bag of pretzels does not last long in my house. So thank you for sharing that. Um, yeah, so Jacob, there's a I'll try to address this one. Is there a way to discern between when a person can cope on their own and when they need help from others? Um, I would personally, if I would say this, if you're at the point where you feel that that is an important question to be asking, I would absolutely start reaching out, um, because it means that you're really questioning, the position that you're in right now or what you're experiencing. I would absolutely reach out. Feel free to reach out to me if you want to have that talk. I'd be happy. Again, community resources, whatever you need, but just know that if that's something that you're considering at this point, I would absolutely start reaching out. So hopefully that's helpful. I see here from Terry, thank you for reminding us we're not alone. A lot of people at work are putting on a face that makes it seem like everything is okay. And again, that line of toxic positivity, yeah, it's something that we do really need to address and really need to call out when we see it. So Blake, thank you for sharing. I agree that I can't wait to get back in person. This has been interesting. This has been humbling to be in front of this camera and not be in front of a group of people, but I appreciate you all. It's so wonderful to know that folks have been watching, listening, learning. So thank you for that. Comments on, thanks for this. Helpful to know I'm not alone. Support positive feedback. Person might be missing because of isolation or quarantine placement. That is a good question, Linda. I can certainly research that. I don't know of anything off the top of my head, aside from, I'm trying to think of what it is. There there was some app that I was looking at on the Apple Store. Um, it allows just a daily check-in, kind of a, here's a few minutes of either, a mental reminder or something fun to do, maybe a little puzzle, whether it's a word puzzle or just, something to kind of um, get you like focused on something different, but also get some positive feedback from your day. But that's a great thought, great question. This one, so from anonymous, there's how do you deal with the stress of having to go back to the office after being home for so long? Um, to be honest, we're starting to have those discussions in our workplace as well. I'm hopeful that for most folks, they have a comprehensive plan that allows you some flexibility, um, just to kind of plan that out and say, can I do maybe a dry run, like a one day or a couple of hours in the office? But I'll be honest with you, when we finally start going back, I'm going to be nervous just driving. I found that even working primarily from home and not being in a car, not driving that frequently, just getting out, running, a couple errands, going to soccer games. It's been different. It gives me a little bit of anxiety, but I'm sure that things will get better, and things will get back to a little bit of normalcy in that regard. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure that one out myself, to really deal with that stress. But again, I think, and I'm hopeful that once you get back into the groove of things, whether masked or not, that just that focus and allowing at least my passions to come back through in my work, kind of gets me over that hump and that anxiety for a little bit. So, all right, I would say we're at 10 minutes over. So, um, thank you again. I just want to say thanks so much for spending this extra time. I really appreciate the feedback. And again, hopefully this helped you all, as much as it helped me. So take care. We'll see you and have a wonderful day.